The weekend after reports that the Saints tried an all-out blitz to try a sign-and-trade deal to get the defensive end. The Titans ended up landing the three-time Pro Bowler with a one-year deal worth up to $15 million. So, Shannon, how big of a break was it for Brady and the Bucs that Clowney did not end up in New Orleans?
Well, Skip, I thought they caught a big break. The NFL put the kibosh on this because basically what they were trying to do, they were trying to trade a second-round pick for cap space. The Cleveland Browns was going to give up was going to get a second-round pick for $5 million to eat the $5 million. The NFL says, no, we got stipulations on how trades are supposed to work, and we don't want to open up Pandora's box. But, Skip, I thought Tampa Bay dodged a huge bullet for the simple fact you'd have been able to pair Jadeveon Clowney with Cam Jordan. Remember, they took Davenport in the first round, and they signed Zach Braun, the edge rusher out of Wisconsin. So, and plus, on the back end, you have Lattimore, who's been a Pro Bowl player. You have Malcolm Jenkins, who they got from the Eagles. And so, for me, I believe this would have put them over the top. But I'm not surprised that Jadeveon ended up going with the Tennessee Titans because his best year he had under the head coach, which was Mike Vrabel, who was the defensive coordinator in Tennessee. And plus, I get an opportunity to see you jokers that didn't believe in me, didn't think I was worth the money that I was asking for. So I get to see you twice a year. I think that plays a lot to do with Skip. That's always in the back of your mind because the team that drafted you, okay, you believed in me, and now when it came time to get my money, all of a sudden you didn't believe in me. I think Jadeveon overpriced himself, Skip. I know he fired his agent, Buzz Cook, but Skip, Buzz Cook was not going to get him $20 million for 3 sacks. To get that kind of money that he wants, you got to go put the quarterback on the ground a bunch. I believe he's a better run player than he is a pass rusher. But run players, they don't make $20 million per year, Skip. You give them guys premium dollars. You give the pass rushers premium dollars. But I thought Tampa dodged a huge bullet because to pair him with Cam Jordan and Davenport and Braun with that back end, that could have been problematic for Tom Brady. But kudos for the Titans for getting this deal done.
Sometimes Super Bowl seasons are just meant to be. Sometimes you get breaks that you just don't see coming, and I didn't see this coming because when we left here Friday, all signs pointed to Clowney being a Saint.
Yep.
And they tried. They didn't have enough cap space to give him the money he wanted. Tennessee had more cap space. So the way I understood it is they wanted Cleveland to give him his signing bonus.
Right.
To sign him.
Right.
And then the salary would be intact and trade the salary for a second-round pick and maybe another player.
Correct.
Okay? And the NFL said, well, effectively, Cleveland, you're trying to buy a draft pick.
Correct.
You're just trying, with the signing bonus, you're saying, we'll pay X for a second-round pick.
You see that in baseball and basketball, Skip, because, you know, we'll do that for cash a player in cash considerations. NFL says,
So I agree with you. Clowney, as a Saint, would have been a difference maker in the NFC South.
Correct.
Now, he has gone to the AFC South, and it was not a good move. It was a great move by Vrabel and company, and obviously Vrabel was his position coach, Clowney's position coach in Houston when he had his best year. So they have a connection. So...
Wasn't he the DC also?
Yeah, but I mean, he coached
he coached him first. Yes.
So I think they're pretty close.
Yes,
and I think Clowney loves him and wants to play for him.
Well, especially Skip, if the money he wants, well, maybe I can get back in the defense I'm familiar with. He understands how to use me. I had 9.5. I was an all-pro. So maybe that would definitely help get the money that he wants, Skip. But to talk about, well, I'm going to reset the market, not with 3 sacks. Skip, he had 3 sacks. And
I'm still a big fan of his.
I am too.
He is a disruptor.
But you would think somebody with his kind of ability, Skip, you think about it now, the dude 6'4.5", 255, can run 4.5, long arms. I mean, he's explosive. You would just expect him to be more of a pass rusher than what he's displayed over his career. But I believe he's more disruptive in the run game than he is the passing game.
Every time I turn on one of his games, I see him.
He in the backfield.
I see him. And I think the quarterback's seeing him, and they're trying to double block him. And he just causes problems, and he would have caused the Bucs huge problems. And now he's only going to cause the Texans and Deshaun huge problems, probably. So now, back to the Buccaneers. I believe they already have a top 10 defense, and I was a little shaky about the running back situation, and all of a sudden, Thursday night, they add Leonard Fournette. So they added him and got to keep him because that deal's signed, sealed, and delivered.
Right.
And all of a sudden, Clowney can't be a Saint. He's a Titan.
Right.
Well, that's a huge shift right there. So the spread right now on Sunday's game at New Orleans is Saints by 3.5,
Right.
which is not much more than home field 3 points.
Correct.
So Vegas is basically saying it's kind of a
But here's the
coin
thing,
toss.
though, Skip. How much? The thing is now, how much is home field going to play an advantage with no crowd? So now, really, we don't know. You factor in, you say 3.5, but if there's 10,000 people, or, there's 5,000. Some teams are not going to have any fans in the stand. So how much is it? Basically, you're going to be at practice with artificial crowd noise, but the NFL says, look, send us what you're going to be playing throughout the stadium. We're going to see if it matches up decibel-wise, and then we'll go from there because we don't want any funny shenanigans going on. But I think the thing is, Skip, we got to be careful because you're going to have some, Jerry says, we could have up to 35, 40,000. Well, how is that going to be fair? Well, one team can have 35, 40,000 and another team can have 0.
It won't be.
It needs to be uniformity. Either you can have 35, 40,000 or you can't. You can't say, well, you can do this, but they can't do that because of location. Where if you
play in the state of California, you're going to have no fans.
No fans. But if you play in the state of Texas or Florida, you could have up to X amount of fans. So somebody's gaining a competitive advantage in the NFL. That's why they implemented the cap, Skip. Because they didn't want teams that had a lot of money to be able to buy players like the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Red Sox.
Yep. So this was written in Pro Football Focus last Thursday. This was ahead of the Fournette acquisition, and obviously ahead of the conclusion of where Clowney would play.
Right.
So no Fournette, no Clowney on either side, and they concluded at Pro Football Focus, while the Saints are in the conversation for having the best roster in the NFL, so are the Buccaneers. And when it comes to the areas that matter most, give the slight edge to Tampa. Matters most receiving unit and coverage unit. So they're saying now
I disagree with that.
Buccaneers, who went 7-9 last year, have a little better roster than the Saints do.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I don't think they have the advantage in the receiving game. I love Mike Evans. I love Godwin. But Mike Thomas and Emmanuel said.